Sun cast a shadow, a digital line is coming over the mountain and over your mind. Double down your Bitcoin, hang on for the ride. We're moving into the future, one block at a time. We're moving into the future, one block at a time.
Welcome to Once Upon a Coin, documenting the ongoing history of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And as always, I'm your storyteller, Jason Cassidy. There's only a handful of companies from the early days of crypto that still exist today. And out of those, only a select few have managed to turn themselves into titans of the blockchain industry. And that's exactly what today's episode is about, as we take a close look at one of the most well-known and respected names in all of cryptocurrency. This is the story of Coindesk. And if we're going to do this story justice, we should start at the very beginning. Coindesk is an online news outlet that exclusively focuses on the blockchain and cryptocurrency industry. Founded in April of 2013 by prominent tech entrepreneur Shakil Khan, he created Coindesk originally out of his desire to have an easy-to-use website where you could track information and pricing data on all cryptocurrencies. With the rate of growth the industry was experiencing, Khan knew the value of having a trusted, independent, reliable source of information. Without it, investors, traders, and founders would all be left on their own to try and make sense of the latest industry developments that were now happening about a mile a minute. It was time for someone to step up and take on the job as industry steward, and Khan was more than up for the task. The plan worked, as Khan was simply seeing a need arising and finding a practical way to address it. And thus, each month that went by, Coindesk just became more and more entrenched into the blockchain world. Whether it was an event, a new technology, or someone in the space that had done something worth discussing, Coindesk was there with the coverage.
Before Coindesk came along, there was really no trusted source of information in the blockchain industry. The front page of the industry at that time was undoubtedly Bitcoin talk. So you would have this dichotomy of legitimate projects like Ethereum launching one day, and the next day 5 scams would pop up. So you really had to do your own research when you were spending time on Bitcoin talk. So I think when Coindesk came along, it really represented something of a paradigm shift in how we consume blockchain news, because for the very first time, we had something that was professionally sourced and presumably accurate information about what was going on. They had people spending time to fact check what they were writing and ensure it was accurate.
They do their due diligence before they release, news. They do their due diligence before, working with projects to write a story about them. And so they're not just out there writing about every single little thing that's going on. They tend to be pretty careful about, the kind of information they distribute. And so as far as, them reporting on the news, I think they're extremely trustworthy. They have a lot of credibility. And as far as I've seen over the years, there's been nothing to change that.
One of the first big wins for the company came when they released their Bitcoin price index in September of 2013. The Bitcoin price index is an average Bitcoin price tracked across several exchanges. And Coindesk chose the first 3 exchanges to be CampBX, BTCE, and Bitstamp. The index became a popular tool, often being cited by mainstream publications that were reporting on the crypto industry, such as the BBC, the New York Times, and CNBC. While the coverage on Coindesk started off very Bitcoin-centric, by 2014, a new wave of altcoins was hitting the market, and Coindesk evolved with the times, expanding their coverage to include up-and-coming blockchains like Ripple and Litecoin. They also made major strides in accessibility by rolling out the Coinbase app for both the Android and iOS devices. It didn't take long to begin cultivating a reputation as being the gold standard of reporting and news within the cryptosphere. The company was making money via advertising and growing its audience at a very healthy rate. So by the time 2015 came around, Coindesk was ready to take things to the next level. What better way to get all the top people and companies in the space talking about you than by creating and hosting your own top-end yearly crypto conference and then inviting them all to it? Well, this is exactly what Coindesk did, and it resulted in the creation of Consensus, one of the most anticipated and respected events in cryptocurrency industry. The inaugural event took place in 2015, and since then it's become a yearly tradition, drawing in some huge crowds and bringing some big-ticket speakers and presenters that you'd expect at a conference run by the biggest media brand in all of cryptocurrency.
Of all the people that they could have picked to help them work this conference, they chose me because I had experience in the NFT space, making collections. They had allowed me to come and consult with them. I had a blast. I loved every second of it. They are legacy. They're one of the first prime news sources for the crypto and Bitcoin, blockchain and NFTs. And then, they've had one of the first major conferences that is still continuing today.
The outlet continued to expand their reach when they started to publish quarterly reports documenting the state of the cryptocurrency space. The reports would include in-depth market analysis, regulatory developments, and other important information that was helping shaping the blockchain landscape. This helped create a lot of traction for Coindesk, and Khan was looking to capitalize on it. Rumors began to pop up around late 2015 that the popular news outlet could be for sale. And I actually remember myself thinking about this when I heard the news, wondering what it would take to buy them out. Well, I didn't have to wait too long to find out the answer to that question, because in early 2016, a new player emerged that would have a profound impact. Profound enough to trigger a whole new era for Coindesk. I am, of course, talking about Barry Silbert and the Digital Currency Group, or DCG. DCG approached Khan about buying Coindesk outright, and after some negotiations, an agreement was reached. Coindesk was purchased by the Digital Currency Group for an undisclosed amount, rumored to be somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000 US. The acquisition made a lot of sense for DCG, given the visibility of their companies, investments, partners, and even events would increase greatly. They were also already an investor in Coindesk from a previous investment round, so they were intimately familiar with the online media outlet's business model. To give you an idea on what exactly DCG was getting in their purchase from Coindesk, they had 10 full-time employees, 700,000 monthly readers, and had raised $2 million in investment rounds, which we had just established included DCG. Coindesk was now a proud subsidiary of the Digital Currency Group, and DCG quickly got to work on improving Coindesk's business model. For starters, in 2017, they expanded to one of the biggest markets in the world for cryptocurrency in South Korea when they launched Coindesk Korea, which would bring crypto and blockchain news to the nation. More focus was also put on the events business. And in 2018, just 2 years after DCG's takeover, Consensus drew a crowd of over 8,500 attendees. And that's up greatly from the paltry 625 people that attended the 2015 debut of the conference. Coindesk also grew their research arm, which had got started with their early Bitcoin price reports. They were now doing much more frequent reporting and expanded their focus to cover a wide area of different technologies. Under DCG's guidance, Coindesk quickly became the trusted de facto source of information across the entire industry for all things crypto. Whether it was Bitcoin, exchanges, altcoins, wallets, if it happened in crypto and it was important, Coindesk was reporting on it. The industry had now anointed Coindesk as a king of crypto, and the company had a pretty strong claim to the title. One of the many changes that DCG made once it took over Coindesk was to greatly improve both the amount and scope of reporting within the industry. To achieve this, the editorial team was expanded, and in 2018, the company announced they had grown the division to be 25 people strong. And the result? Over 5 million monthly unique visitors to the site. By 2019, the company was ready to double down on its research division when it announced the creation of Coindesk Research, which provided in-depth market analysis across a wide scope of different blockchain topics. The company continued to grow its reach over the next few years as more and more people joined the cryptocurrency industry and found Coindesk as their source of trusted information. The company also showed its ability to adapt to its environment on the fly when, during the COVID-19 pandemic, they seamlessly shifted their event business model from the physical to the virtual. The best example of this is probably the Consensus Distributed Conference held in 2020 that drew in tens of thousands of attendees from across the world. They also continued to evolve the way that they reach their audience when they launched a podcast called The Breakdown, which ran for many years and eventually carved out its own following. But arguably the biggest moment in the company's history hadn't even taken place yet. And that was reserved for November of 2022 and the now infamous FTX disaster. Coindesk had earned a reputation for going the extra mile when they were going to break a story. And they were always sure to do the research twice over before they would ever report on it. So it should come as no surprise to discover that it was none other than Coindesk who initially broke the FTX story wide open. They first reported that it was FTX's partner firm, Alameda Research, that was holding a large bulk of its assets in FTX's native token, FTT. The news helped create enough awareness around the situation that it eventually led to a bank run on the exchange, triggering a liquidity crisis for FTX, which led to its eventual shutdown and declaration of bankruptcy. On the surface, this appeared to be a really good thing for Coindesk. They now had a ton of clout in the industry for breaking what many thought to be the biggest story in crypto in years. But in life, things aren't always as they first appear. And when it comes to crypto, this is the rule, not the exception. Part of FTX's colossal collapse included all the damage it inflicted on the entire crypto ecosystem. Many top companies were holding money with FTX or Alameda, so when FTX and Alameda went bust, so too did all of that money. That money had either been spent, gambled away, or lost over the course of several years of pure, unadulterated financial malfeasance. And this is where things go from really good to really bad. One of DCG's subsidiaries, Genesis, a platform dedicated to supporting institutional investors, had $175 million with FTX when it blew up. Right around this time, another of DCG's subsidiaries, Grayscale, began to have troubles as well. Grayscale is the world's largest digital currency asset manager and operates the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which allows accredited investors like hedge funds and family offices to invest into Bitcoin in a roundabout way. Owning shares in the trust, which was known as GBTC, was akin to owning the Bitcoin the company had that was used to back the value of the shares. For quite a while, shares of GBTC traded at a premium over Bitcoin's market price, indicating both trust and desirability for the shares over owning the real Bitcoin. This all changed, however, when in January of 2021, GBTC's premium disappeared. And by the time DCG's involvement in FTX became public information, that premium on those shares turned into a discount. And eventually that discount ballooned to over 50% off shares versus Bitcoin's underlying market value. Half-price Bitcoin. Come and get your half-price Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. Suffice to say, this put a lot of unwanted pressure on DCG, with the irony here being that one of its own companies was responsible for triggering the chain reaction of disastrous events that led to FTX. To be fair, if Coindesk didn't break this story, eventually some other media outlet would have, given the unsustainable nature of FTX's operations. But some other media outlet didn't break the story. Coindesk did. And now DCG was in a rapidly devolving nightmare they had to try and get out of. This is part of a much larger shit show that went down and involved Three Arrows Capital and some other big companies in the space that got into a lot of trouble. So we'll save that for its own episode. Okay, so where does this leave Coindesk? Well, they actually came out looking pretty damn good in the end. To drive this point home, we can look at the recent unsolicited offer of $300 million to buy the news outlet. That offer was turned down. One of the reasons that Coindesk received such a lofty offer in the first place was probably due to the fact that they were making $50 million in annual revenue. So all this work that Barry Silbert and DCG put into Coindesk over the years was clearly paying off. And this brings us to present day, where you can still find Coindesk breaking stories on all the hottest topics in the industry. They will likely be around for decades to come, but their past accomplishments mean that they'll likely make any future cryptocurrency Hall of Fame list. My final thoughts here stem from my own personal experiences. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with Coindesk on several stories, and I came away impressed every single time. They, by far, take the most effort, care, and concern with every story they craft, and they always want to make sure that they're getting the most accurate information to their readership. They hands down put in the most time and effort in fleshing out a story and ensure they bring the best quality journalism when they go out to their readership. I hope you enjoyed today's stroll down memory lane. Until next time, have fun and enjoy life, my friends. I'll be back soon with another incredible story to tell you.